James, do you know Bo South with Myers Park?
I do.
With Myers Chapman?
Yeah.
You heard about his son?
No.
Committed suicide on Tuesday, 18 years old.
Goodness. How is he holding up?
I'm sorry?
How's the father holding up?
No, it was a girlfriend thing. He came home, his mom was there, they talked. She went to take a shower,
Oh.
and
well,
then
damn it.
he went upstairs to his room, and apparently took his life. And Bo South is just a great person.
He really,
I didn't know if you knew that. I knew you'd want to know that.
thank you.
That is so sad.
So
Yep.
sorry.
It's in the paper. He was a Myers Park student.
So Scott, okay. Good morning, sir. Thank
morning.
you so much for being here on this Friday and taking the opportunity to share your skills and talents with us as we continue to interview for our 7 appointees on the Transit Authority. So let me kind of make some introductions. First, we have Mayor Pro Tem, representing District 1, Councilmember Dante Anderson, who's joining us virtual. And in the room, to my left, I have Councilmember Ed Driggs, representing District 7. And to my right, Councilmember LaWanda Mayfield at large. We are the work group that the mayor has appointed. Your best friend in the room, Scott, is Ms. Stephanie Kelly, because we're going to ask you 5 questions. You have 3 minutes per question to answer. But at the 30-second mark, Ms. Kelly is going to send you a reminder, okay?
So this is sort of like speed dating.
There you go, exactly right. And it's going to be very
That's exactly what it's been like.
painless.
Thank
So
you.
relax, sir, and thank you so much for coming in spite of some of your health challenges, so we appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Okay. So I'm going to turn the first 2 questions will come from Councilmember Mayfield.
Good morning, Mr. Harris. How are you?
Good, thank you.
First question for you. How do you feel this new board can balance regional decision-making with the need for accountability to the taxpayers?
Can you repeat that, please?
Yes. Thank you for asking. You are the first person to ask for a repeat.
People just answer when
Right.
they need to
Yeah.
get it.
How do you feel this new board can balance regional decision-making with the need for accountability to the taxpayers?
Well, Councilwoman Mayfield, the reason I got involved with this was because I think Charlotte's a phenomenal city, but we have an issue. And we know we have an issue with transportation, and we know that if we don't do something, companies are going to stop coming here. But looking at it, and the vote, I think, is indicative of there's concern. My concern and my reason for wanting to be on the board is this is an opportunity to make Charlotte great, Charlotte and Mecklenburg great. But I hope the board, whoever's on the board, takes this as seriously as I do, because this sets our future. And let's face it, Ed, you and I, this probably isn't going to impact our lives. But my children who live here, my grandchildren who live here, this is their future. And insofar as accountability, this board needs to take this as seriously as possible and be willing to be very transparent and understand how much responsibility is on them. This is not just a board coming in, shaking hands. This is a working board. And my concern, I want to be the voice for those who don't have one. I'm concerned, and we've seen it in the past, about displacement. My daughter-in-law works at Sterling Elementary School. A developer came in, bought land, and all those people were displaced. We can't let that happen because of our transportation needs. It's got to be a balance. And we have to be the ones, the board has to be the one to make sure we can answer to those voters, and more importantly, answer to the voters who were against it, to show them why this was so important for our region. And I hope whoever you select for this board takes that responsibility to heart and understands it's a working board. It's probably, if you're on a committee, it's probably 120 hour a year commitment, and you better be ready for it. I hope I've answered it for you.
Thank you so much for that answer. My second question, for you this morning.
Do I get to keep my time for this next question?
Oh, no, you get 3 minutes per question.
I know, I'm kidding.
Yes. You ready?
Work in the room. Yes, ma'am.
Please describe how you intend to ensure equity in procurement for transit authority spend, and describe your understanding of the challenges businesses face within the procurement process and ways that you think the authority can ensure equitable access to opportunity. And I will repeat that or break it down if you like.
Let me try answering it first, and then we can go more at what I miss.
Okay.
So I've been with Choate Construction for almost 20 years. And in that time, I've been in a lot of areas of Choate. I'm a vice president for Choate. My fingers are in a lot of different areas. One of the areas I get involved with a great deal is pre-construction. And one thing you have to do for, let's say, subcontractors, is you have to make sure that your subcontractors are qualified for what they're going to do, because you don't want them to fail. So we do that carefully, but you also, and we look at SWMBE participation. We want to make sure they have the opportunities, because at one time we were a small business and we got opportunities. So from the procurement side, I think we have to make sure, we have to come up with a way to verify that those who we are inviting to help with this are qualified. And as a board, we have to establish that. By the same token, we have to also realize these are tax dollars, and we have to make it available to all. So we have to look for how do we make it available? How do we, at Choate, I'll tell you what we do. We break down scopes of work to allow others to participate. I think with this type of thing, with the transportation, you've got rail, you've got roads, you've got buses, you're going to have so many different opportunities. And this region's paying the tax, this region should benefit from the tax. So I think that's one thing I bring to the board is, hey, how do we procure these opportunities, and how do we give the opportunities to let people enjoy the taxes that are being paid or benefit from the taxes that are being paid? Now I'll let you break down the question a little more for areas I didn't really cover.
You did an amazing job, but I will repeat it.
Okay?
Because the first part, please describe how you intend to ensure equity in procurement for transit authority spend. I think that was addressed. Describe your understanding of the challenges businesses face within the procurement process and ways the authority can ensure equitable access to the opportunity.
The one thing, the challenges business face, we've held outreach, or prior to a project, we've held opportunities for subs to come in, and have not had good numbers, and that's been troubling. But I think, and I've got that list from Choate, I've got all those lists from Choate. I think we as a board probably need to be a little more proactive and reach out to those. If you have sidewalks, that's a perfect example. Small businesses can handle that type of work, so you reach out to those who do that type of work and say, hey, would you like this opportunity?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The next two questions, Scott, will come from Mr. Driggs.
Hey,
Hey, Ed.
safety is one of the most important factors influencing how people experience and choose to use public transit. As a board member, how would you approach your role in ensuring that safety, both real and perceived, is a central part of improving the rider experience? What strategies or partnerships do you believe are key to creating a safe and welcoming transit system for all riders?
So, by my resume, I think you've seen, I've been on the Police Foundation, I think 9 years now. I served as chair for 3 years. I am passionate about our citizens being safe. At the same time, I'm also passionate about supporting our police. I've traveled the country. We have one of the best police forces in the country. We're very, very fortunate. They do a great job. But in light of what recently happened on our light rail, and it was a tragedy, that was more of a mental issue than anything. I think if you had had 4 police officers standing next to him, it could have happened without them even realizing it. I think we have to have a separate entity to police light rail. It's a different type of policing. And I think that's something that has to be created, and I think you have to find those people that understand how to police light rail, what to look for, that type of thing. But I also think you have an opportunity to use our police force to help with that. So you're almost doubling down. And I was on the committee to select our new chief, and Stella's very in tune with that, and I think she'll be a wonderful chief, and I think she'll help with that. We have got to ensure safety, because if we don't ensure safety, no one's going to ride. And that was a tragedy, but in the years we've had pretty good safety records. But this is an opportunity with the dollars that are coming in for us to up our game, create a separate entity that does this, and we've got to make our riders feel safe. And I think if we do this correctly, it will work.
Thank you. My next question is, given that over 80,000 residents opposed the tax and many felt unheard throughout the process, how will you ensure that MPTA's decision-making remains transparent and that low-income, transit-dependent, and displaced communities have a voice in shaping priorities, routes, and spending?
Well, first of all, I'm going to be that voice. I'm a conservative guy, but I'm also one that feels strongly that we have to protect those who, like I say, don't have a voice. Ed, you're right, we had 80,000 who voted against it. I think part of that was lack of understanding, because I think the only way those who can't have a voice benefit, and they will benefit because better jobs will come into Charlotte and whatnot, but the transit authority that we're creating has to always keep them in mind. We can't just say, we're taking your house. It's not easy for those folks to just up and move. We've got to find a way, whether it's through affordable housing, which we all know we need to address, whether it's through we put somehow create a fund to offset expenses for these folks to help them. We've got to look at that and always keep that at the forefront. Insofar as transparency, I think you've got to monthly or quarterly put out either a newsletter or something to this community so they know what's going on. Because if you do that, first of all, you're going to be transparent, but secondly, you may get some great feedback that you hadn't thought about. And so we need to make sure that we're being very open and letting them know what's going on. The first year is going to be a tough year. It's going to involve a lot. There's a lot, I've read the payback, there's a lot to do. And everyone better put on their belt and suspenders, because it's going to be a lot of work. And they need to, whoever you select, they need to understand that this is key for the next 30 years.
Thank you.
Scott, so I have the pleasure of giving you the last question, sir.
The tough one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
here it
brace
comes.
yourself.
Scott, tell us about a time when you had to balance competing priorities while ensuring transparency and accountability to the public. How did you make your decision, and what was the outcome? And you can give us an example and provide details, that would be great.
Can you repeat it?
Yes, I can. Tell us about a time when you had to balance competing priorities while ensuring transparency and accountability to the public. How did you make your decision, and what was the outcome? If you can provide an example and provide details, that would be even better.
I'm happy to do that. And I go back to, I was church council president
Okay?
at the time. And we had a situation where our weekday school director had embezzled some money. And in a church, it's a huge balance. And I had to make the decision, do we handle it within council?
Okay.
Or do we go out to the members of the church? And my decision was to be very open and transparent with our church. And I called a meeting, and I explained what had happened. I explained that it was going to be repaid. I explained that this person would no longer be employed by this, but that we need to embrace her and her family and help them get through this. We still wanted them as church members. And this was a mistake that was made. We've all made mistakes. And so I got, for the most part, positive feedback. There were a few people that said, why would you share that with the church? But I felt that it was important to be very transparent and open because it happens. And it's not something that, when you aren't transparent, rumors start and it gets much worse than it is. If you are transparent, you say, here's what happened, here's what we did, any questions? And I think that's a good example. I think you have to be transparent. I tell the guys that I work with always, hide nothing. You've got nothing to hide. If you're honest, you've got nothing to hide. And my dad always taught me, tell the truth. You don't have to worry about making something up. If you tell the truth, you're always going to say the same thing. So that's kind of my philosophy, and that's what I live by. So.
Thank you, sir, for
Thank you.
spending the time on a Friday to come to talk with us. Scott, let me kind of explain the following process. So this work group will make our recommendations on Saturday to the full council. Monday, November 17th, we will make nominations. And then Monday, November 24th, it is our goal that we would have appointed all 7 to serve us and represent us on the Transit Authority. So
Good.
thank you, sir. We really appreciate it. And
Thank
you're
you.
right. We'll give you a fist bump from a distance.
Air.
Okay? All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, that's all. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Scott.
And again, I say, I just ask whoever you select, make sure they know the commitment they're in for, because this is a serious thing. But it's a great opportunity. If
Thank
you
you
don't
for
mind, I'd like to
joining
leave
us.
this for the 3 of you.
Can you give it to Mr. Kelly?
Thank you for joining us this
Thank you
morning.
so
I
much.
hope you get over the cold
Oh,
quickly.
I will, I will. Have
Rest
a
this
great
weekend.
day.
Yeah?
Thank you.
You don't want your water? That's yours.
That's yours.
Did I touch it?
Just take it.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
Thanks so much.
Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Scott.
good to see you, Scott.
Take care.
filled up I about filled up all my notes with him.
I got another note sheet.
Yeah, we got two, but he's the first one where I've had to. Yes.
Yes. Good morning, Ms. Jocelyn. Good morning on this Friday.
Happy Friday to
Happy
everyone.
Friday.
Hello, hello. Hello.
What's your sister's name?
This is big time. Is it okay if I take notes?
Toya.
Yeah.
Bottle of water.
Oh, Stephanie.
Oh, Stephanie
Please
got
do,
it.
Ms.
Okay,
Jocelyn.
thank
Yes,
you.
You can take notes.
We were just grabbing a bottle of water for you.
That's
if
right.
you
Oh,
needed
thank
it.
you. Yeah, I'm parched. I didn't have
Yeah.
any coffee. I
Uh-oh.
had a bad dream that I woke up at 7:20 and it was only 5 a.m. So you remember the first day of school,
Oh,
Julius.
yeah.
I have them times 12, but nonetheless happy to be here. I'm going to just get a swig of water and then I'll be happy
Okay.
to be ready
Take
to
your
begin.
time, and
Thank you.
while you getting prepared, I'm going to introduce some of the council members who have joined us virtually. We have Ms. Dante Anderson, Mayor Pro Tem in District 1.
can't
We
see
have
that.
Ms. Dimple Ashmere representing us City Council at large. And then let me introduce the work group, who's, I have to say, we've been working great as a team.
You
To my
okay?
left, Mr. Ed Driggs from
Hello,
District 7.
Councilman
Hi, how
Driggs.
are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
And to my right, Councilmember LaWanda Mayfield at
Good
large.
morning.
Hello, well, hello, everyone.
So, Ms.
Morning.
Jocelyn, we
Yes.
will have 5 questions for you.
Okay?
Ms. Nolly, I'm sorry. All right.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, it's Jocelyn Jones Nolly, so. Would you prefer, Ms.
Jocelyn,
Nolly?
I would prefer Jocelyn.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
I'd like to make it very easy.
Thank you.
I
Thank
would
you,
actually
Jocelyn.
prefer Jocelyn. Okay, so 5 questions.
5 questions, and then you will have up to 3 minutes per question to answer. Your favorite friend in the room is Miss Stephanie Kelly. Stephanie will have a card up when
Thank
there's
you.
30 seconds remaining in that question.
All righty.
We want you to be relaxed. We want this to kind of be a conversation. So the first 2 questions will be from Councilmember Mayfield.
Okay.
Good morning, and.
Good morning.
Excuse me. If you need us to repeat a question, just let us know.
Okay.
The time does stop when we're repeating, so the time is only running during your response.
Understood. Okay.
First question. How do you feel this new board can balance a regional decision-making with the need for accountability to the taxpayers?
Okay. And accountability to taxpayers. Okay. Well, first of all, thank you all very much and good morning. I do want to take some of my allotted time just to kind of introduce myself again, far and separate from the application. My name is Jocelyn Nolly. I am the daughter of working class parents from New York City. I think that is significant here in this interview because I am a person whose economic mobility changed because I grew up in a place where transportation was the foundation. I was able to go to a better junior high school because of transportation. At 11 years old, I took the subway across Brooklyn to attend junior high school. I did the same to attend a specialized high school in New York City, which is similar to the magnet schools. And all of these opportunities that were afforded to me via transportation allowed me to grow in an upwardly economic fashion. So I want to say that that is very important that you know that about me. I feel that in this board, the regional decision-making, well, I'll say this, first of all, this board can't fail. This is a unique opportunity, and we must be transformative in our decision-making and our ability to move the referendum ideas forward. So failure is not an option. I definitely want to reiterate that because the nation's eyes are upon us, being the largest board of its kind in this city. I feel that regional decision-making and accountability can be done through collaboration. I think a board of this size should work through committee, elevating ideas and motions up through committee, continuing to work through collaboration, gaining consensus, and moving forward. We should align ourselves, of course, with the city's priorities, also create KPIs that are measurable, and also communicate those results back out to our community in the form of like dashboards, community forums, and things of that sort.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I will. Give me a moment because I'm capturing all
Yeah,
that.
I'm like,
We New Yorkers talk fast. I get it all in. 3 minutes I was practicing.
So for my second question for
Sure.
you, and again, I could break it down because it's a little long.
Okay, sure.
Please describe how you intend to ensure equity in procurement for transit authority spend. Describe your understanding of the challenges businesses face within the procurement process and ways the authority can ensure equitable access to opportunities.
Can you repeat that again,
Yes.
especially the last part?
Okay, did you describe your understanding of the challenges businesses face within the procurement process and ways the authority can ensure equitable access to opportunities?
Okay. In all fairness, I am not very familiar with the city or the transit's procurement process, but I would imagine that some holistic concepts exist around procurement, and I believe that this board would probably follow the city's guidelines on procurement, whether there are guidelines about minority business contracts and things of that sort. So my answer would be to align itself with the existing procurement process as stated by the City of Charlotte and move along with that. I think that the challenges that small businesses may face is that the transit as an industry is going to be new to Charlotte. So we have to ensure that our businesses are knowledgeable and equipped in the business of transit. I believe that can be done through mentorship, small business loans and grants, and education for the businesses.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Charles, hold on, I'm making note.
Right.
And I'll just add that what's most important in any type of procurement process for an initiative of this side is equity. That we have equity and we have equal, when I say equity, equal access for all businesses to participate in the process.
The next two questions are going to be from Mr. Ed Driggs.
Hello,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm good, thank you. This is a long question, so I'm going to
Okay.
read it slowly so you can take it all down, okay?
Okay.
Safety is one of the most important factors influencing how people experience and choose to use public transit.
Okay.
As a board member, how would you approach your role in ensuring that safety, dash, both real and perceived, dash, is a central part of improving the rider experience? What strategies or partnerships do you believe are key to creating a safe and welcoming transit system for all riders?
Okay. So, of course, agreeing that safety is one of the, if not the most important, the highest priority of our new transit system. As a board membership, I think that the key to our safety is our partnership with our police force. In time, we may even want to consider a transit police force dedicated to transit. I've seen that in larger cities where we have transit police. I think the other, along with transit, is, along with safety, and in order to measure safety, we have to set ourselves some goals, KPIs, in terms of the number of incidents that we may come in, and posting those incidents in a dashboard. And of course, our goal is to always lower any safety incidents that may occur. The other thing that will help safety is some of the improvements that are rolled into this referendum for the transit bus stations and rail stations. We should create well-lit stations and also multi-use stations. If we have stations that are in residential areas, they should be mixed use with business and and lighting and things like that, so that we encourage a safe environment. And also for perception, I think that we don't want, perception is an interesting thing, right? I think that we've learned through recent current events that the perception of the Charlotte transit system was that it was dangerous. So I think in creating a perception that is safe, we want to have a safe system. And we can do that by making the structural improvements, partnering with a law enforcement, whether it's private or public. And I also, as a board member, I would like to encourage our board, if selected, to ride the transit systems frequently and often. So.
Trying to keep up with you. Okay, now it's my turn to talk and your turn to write.
Okay, there we go.
Given that over 80,000 residents opposed the tax, and many felt unheard throughout the process, how will you ensure that MPTA's decision-making remains transparent, and that low-income, transit-dependent, and displaced communities have a voice in shaping priorities, routes, and spending?
As the chairperson of the Black Political Caucus, I am very familiar with the opposing positions for the referendum. I think that in researching the opinions, I do think there are some things that we could have done better to help the community that felt, our community actually, that felt unheard. One of the things that I would like to see us expand, and I think it's a low-hanging fruit, is the expansion of the what I've learned to be called the BRT, the Bus Rapid Transit System. I think that lots of the people that I heard from were very concerned about the bus system. And I think as a member of this board, I think we should address that first. I think we should focus on the routes in the community, the bus routes in the community. I think we need to provide a timeline to the community. What route gets expanded at what date? I think people want to know the details, and I think that was a miss this time, that we did not have those type of details. I think that, like I said, I think along the bus lines as well, since they will be in primarily underserved neighborhoods, we ensure that within those neighborhoods, within walking distance of the bus lines, we have affordable housing, we have mixed-use communities, so that people have a sense of neighborhood and that they can walk no less, hopefully, than maybe a half a mile to get out and take the bus line. So I think that's a low-hanging fruit. Of course, as board members, we will continue to be a transparent and open board. This is going to be a challenge because of the size of the board, but we have to stand united, we have to stand transparent, and we have to have integrity. And all of those things I think are important. As I stated when I first started, we cannot fail. The city of Charlotte can't fail. The other thing that I would like to focus on, and this is kind of a no-brainer for me, is the feedback from the community. Thank you, I'm running out of time. I think that is key. For me, that's a no-brainer, and it goes without saying. We will talk to the community, we will get their feedback, and we will measure ourselves based on that feedback.
Thank you.
So Jocelyn, I have the pleasure of giving you the last question.
Oh, wow.
And I'm gonna be very slow because it's a long question,
Okay.
so please stop me and say, Smudge, repeat that. We informal today, right?
We are.
So here it is, Jocelyn. Tell us about a time when you had to balance competing priorities while ensuring transparency and accountability to the public. Second part. How did you make your decision and what was the outcome? Give us an example and provide details, please.
Okay. So this is going to be a very, and I don't want to be cryptic in my responses, but in my public role as the chairperson of the Black Political Caucus, without disclosing too much of the privacy of the organization, I serve at the pleasure of the body of the organization. So there is very little autonomy in that role. So in doing so, I am responsible for balancing lots of competing opinions and priorities. As you all know better than most, politics is passionate, okay? And I can also use my other word, grimy, at times, okay? So I am often faced with, the squeaky wheel, the loud voice, the community, and I have, as I stated previously, a very collaborative style of leadership, and that's both in my public life and also professionally as a manager of project managers. So I see my role as to ask folks to kind of work amongst themselves in committee publicly or in task forces, and professionally, I think we use the word subcommittee or sub-project teams. And I ask people to work together and decide upon, and to bring me a decision, to elaborate on both the pros and cons of that decision and recommend a solution. I am big on that, and in doing so, I respect the work that was done prior to me getting involved. I respect the work that folks who come together and do the research, provide the details, basically do their homework. I like to respect, and I find that very seldom do I differ from the opinion of the larger group. So in keeping that in mind, without giving too much in detail, we recently had a little dust up in our organization, and it required that we had to go back to our general body for consensus there. And I was able to squash the noise, move forward with the will of the body. And challenging, but that is who I am.
Jocelyn, thank you on this
Thank you.
Friday, spending time with us and sharing your skills. And so just as a recap for the next step for us, this work group will be making its recommendations Saturday to the full council. The full council will start voting on November 17th.
Okay?
And it is our goal by November 24th, we will select the 7 citizens to represent us on the authority. So
Thank you.
please stay tuned.
I will.
And we're going to come around and shake your hand.
I just would like to take the opportunity to thank you all and also thank the other finalists as well. I think there's no bad choices here. So thank you very much. Hello. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you for joining us first thing in the morning.
I know.
Gary, welcome, sir. Thank you on this Friday joining us and talking about your talent and your skills with us as it relates to the authority. We're going to do some introduction because we have some colleagues who have joined us virtually. So I'm going to start with them first. We have Ms. Dimple Ashmere representing our City Council at large, Ms. Tijuana Brown representing District 3, and Ms. Dante Anderson, Mayor Pro Tem and representing District 1. Here, we're the members of the Work Group Committee. We have Mr. Ed Driggs from District 7.
Hi, Driggs. Good morning.
Councilmember LaWanda Mayfield representing City Council at large.
Good morning.
But your best friend in here is Ms. Stephanie Kelly.
Indeed.
We will ask you 5 questions, sir. You have 3 minutes for 3 minutes at each question to answer. Ms. Kelly will remind you with 30 seconds remaining for your answer. Please, that is your water. Gary, try to relax as much as you can, and we're going to start off with Ms. Mayfield with your first 2 questions.
And the questions are a little long, so if at any time you need us to repeat, then just let us know. That time is not eaten into your 3 minutes. Your 3 minutes is only when you're talking.
Okay.
For your first question, how do you feel this new board can balance regional decision-making with the need for accountability to the taxpayers?
Repeat it one more time for me, please, Councilwoman.
Yes. How do you feel this new board can balance regional, regional decision-making with the need for accountability to the taxpayers?
Thank you. Thank you for that. I believe it starts with the board understanding the priorities of council and even our commissioners. You have 5 priorities that you really hone and focusing on. I know transportation being one of them, public safety being another, neighborhoods being others. And I think understanding our decisions are based around these priorities really translates to the success and holding accountability on behalf of these taxpayers. You are elected by the taxpayers as public officials. We are working at the behest of you. And so with that understanding, I know that we have to lean on the priorities of council and commissioners, also working collaboratively with our business community. They were major supporters of this entity coming into place. And so ensuring that they're creating jobs in the communities that are typically displaced because of these type of projects. If you're from Charlotte, you historically know the context of when 277 and 77 and 85 were built in the way that neighborhoods were disrupted. And we're looking at something similar. The only way that we can ensure that folks are done right by are by having folks that are on this board that understand the plight of these same individuals and actually are taking their thoughts into accountability. We're prioritizing the majority rather than the few. And I think having that balance from a regional decision-making standpoint, again, it just really goes back to you guys. If we understand what we're supposed to be working for in terms of protecting displacement, in terms of increasing business opportunity, in terms of workforce development, we can make better decisions along these lines and around these areas. Without that understanding, then you're just out there shooting darts on a board.
Thank you. I am still capturing that before I go to my next question for you. You good?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next question, also a little long. Please describe how you intend to ensure equity in procurement for transit authority spend. Describe your understanding of the challenges businesses face within the procurement process and ways the authority can ensure equitable access to opportunity.
Okay, that was a 3-part question.
It was, that's why I wondered if you was going to
All
capture
right,
any of it.
can you repeat the first part,
Yes.
Councilwoman?
Please describe how you intend to ensure equity in procurement for transit authority spend. Describe your understanding of the challenges businesses face within the procurement process and what ways the authority can ensure equitable access to opportunity.
All right, so I'm understanding the first part. I'm gonna try to answer this kind of in a nutshell. That's the work I do on a day-to-day basis right now, understanding the plight that businesses have in here. How do I ensure that we have spend with this section of our community? It's really understanding what Charlotte Business Inclusion is about, the processes of it. I just had a conversation yesterday with your Director of Economic Development along these lines about what opportunities can we present out there, but first and foremost, how are businesses prepared for these opportunities? Having worked in the procurement space in my 9 to 5 for Bank of America as well as Cushman and Wakefield, I have reached out to businesses for opportunities in our region, and they don't have a certification. So it's ensuring that businesses understand the baseline for how to enter the procurement supply chain. I think when you talk about spend, and especially coming from the corporate channel, people do business with who they know and who they like. They spend money with who they know and who they like. We have to ensure that our businesses understand how to come into play, how to get into the ball game, educating businesses. When businesses garner these opportunities, what workforce development resources are available for them to pick up the employees in these lines. I think one of the things that's important when we talk about procurement is your finances have to be in order. We have to have access to capital. We have to ensure that businesses are prepared to do business with this. And one of the things I talked to your Director of Workforce Development about recently was a program where we're working with our private sector to use CBI certified firms to find private sector opportunities. I think this project really goes hand in hand because we're going to lean on a lot of those private sector companies to build out this project. We need to ensure not only on the government side, but even on the private sector side, our businesses are fully prepared and understand how to come to the table. This board will have a lot of diverse voices, a lot of diverse backgrounds, some conservative, some liberal. We have to have voices that have the ability to bridge those divides, whether they're political divides, whether they're generational divides. This is important, and that's even more important when we talk about business owners. We hear displacement all the time, and yes, how homeowners are going to be displaced, the rising costs of properties are so important, but also are we talking about the displacement of businesses? We have watched so many businesses close in these last few years that are staples to our community. I think one of the practical ones I spoke on the other day to somebody was Price's Chicken Coop. Since I was born in the 80s, that's every time we have a family function, we would go to Price's Chicken Coop. That's no longer the case, and it's simply because of economics. Businesses cannot sustain in this region the way that they have in the prior, and we as a board and as authority have to ensure that we're combating these issues so that we can ensure that we're localizing business opportunity.
Thank you.
So Gary, the next two questions will come from Mr. Ed Driggs. Councilman.
Hi.
Mr. Driggs.
Okay. Safety is one of the most important factors influencing how people experience and choose to use public transit. As a board member, how would you approach your role in ensuring that safety, both real and perceived, is a central part of improving the rider experience? And second part of the question, what strategies or partnerships do you believe are key to creating a safe and welcoming transit system for all? So how would you approach your role in ensuring safety, and what strategies and partnerships do you believe are key?
Strategies and partnerships, that's Charlotte. That's how you work in Charlotte. One of the things that's been proposed is having a transit authority. I am in support of having a police authority on this. That creates jobs, that has a dedicated workforce where we're not taking away from a CMPD force that's already understaffed. And going to the point of collaborations and strategies and partnerships, CMPD is a key cornerstone of that. If we have a transit authority, they have to work hand in hand with CMPD. I actually talked to Chief Jennings on Tuesday and asked for a proper personal introduction and handoff to our new chief. I've been fortunate to have a strong relationship with our last three chiefs, going back to Chief Monroe, knowing Kurt since I was 16 years old, working with Chief Jennings since he moved up the ranks. So ensuring that we have that understanding between not only CMPD, but also CFD. These are relationships that are immensely important, and working also with our legislator. There's a perception when we talk about safety here in our city that it's just that, a perception, as opposed to the reality. Yes, we are a growing city. We're going to have situations that are unfortunate. The issue is, how do we prevent these things? One, again, as I alluded to, that transit authority is one step to it. Also, economics. I think one of the things that's understated when we talk about crime in our city is the reach and the ability to gain economic influence. When we look at, I mean, crime happens in every part of Charlotte, but you don't see as many murders and killings connected to that over on the south side of Charlotte compared to even the west side because of economic gain. If we open up the door to economics and use this transit authority, use this transportation plan to open up jobs and opportunities in certain areas of communities, because I've heard from kids that live off of Tuckasegee who say that we don't know them people downtown. We don't know how to access them. We see how people in our community get money. So that goes back to safety. These are the individuals who are using our transit system the most. So if the low-income individuals or people that are on the low end of the economic pole are utilizing our transit system the most, well, imagine if we turn that upside down, we create that economic viability in certain pockets of this community, and then we'll see a domino effect to crime going down. But we have to ensure we have the people on this board that has the relationships, not only in this community with the underserved, but also know how to bridge their thoughts and their needs to those in the community, like the business community, and how they can play a role in changing that. Working with our government officials, how they can play a role in helping change that perception or even that mindset in some of these communities. So while it's a simple question, it's convoluted to answer. But these are some of the things that we can do from the get-go. And as we prevail and as things go on and this board matures, we can find new endeavors and new avenues to enhance safety even more. Maybe that authority from the police force grows. We find more capital and we find success in it, and we're able to grow it and create more jobs in pockets of the community.
Still writing, hang on a second.
Take your time.
Got it.
So thank you. My next question is, given that over 80,000 residents opposed the tax and many felt unheard throughout the process, how will you ensure that MPTA's decision-making remains transparent and that low-income, transit-dependent, and displaced communities have a voice in shaping priorities, routes, and spending?
Well, being someone who was fortunate enough to sit in on a lot of these Yes for MEC meetings and hear from the campaign, and on the flip side, be able to sit in somebody's house and just have a casual conversation over off of Senior Drive or sit over off of LaSalle and have a conversation. My support of this was ambiguous. I could understand why somebody did support it, and I definitely understood why people did not support it. The reason I supported it was because it was a need we had for this region. But I felt like the only way we would be successful was this council making the right choices and putting the right individuals on this authority, because this authority is going to be the decision. I've always, Mr. Driggs, I've always been a voice for the voiceless. As your council members know, I am a persistent nature when it comes to needing my voice to be heard. I have no qualms reaching out to staff about things, and when I'm not heard or unsolicited or I'm not being responded to, I step it up another level, because I feel like if my voice isn't being heard, I can only imagine what it is for those who don't have the voice I have. And even running for council myself has always been something bigger than myself. It's been about those who I look to represent. It's been about having that voice to speak up and understand the needs of those. I just alluded to what I hear from kids over on the west side off of Tuckasegee that live over off of West Boulevard. I deal with kids who are first time in this day and age are first generation college students. So understanding the connectivity of what they need and being that voice and not being afraid to be that voice on this authority, that's what I'm made for. I currently sit on the city's Unified Development Ordinance Board of Adjustment, where I'm the only African American on this board. So I am often faced with having to be that voice to influence, and that's the key to it. Not just being a voice, not just being somebody that objects to what the mainstay says, but being a voice that has the ability to influence. And I think that's because I have a voice that's digestible by all on the board, and that's important. That's so important when we talk about, as I alluded to earlier, a board with such a diverse makeup of candidates on it. We have to have individuals that know how to speak the language that is digestible by everyone. Because if if I'm fortunate enough to be named to this board, and I step up and I'm just a pound on the table activist, there are certain individuals who are going to look at me sideways and say, why is he on this board? I'm really not in agreement to what he's stating. But yet and still, I could say the exact same thing, but translate it in such a way that our business members, our community grassroots members, and everyone all on this board can digest together.
Thank you.
So Gary, I have the last question, sir, for you. It's kind of long one, so, if I need to repeat it, please do it. Do not hesitate, okay? Tell us about a time when you had to balance competing priorities while ensuring transparency and accountability to the public. That's part one. How did you make your decision, and what was the outcome? If you can give us an example and provide details, we would appreciate it.
The first thing that comes to mind, and I mean, balancing priorities is an everyday thing for me, especially being a father of a 15-year-old daughter and a high school basketball coach. What was I thinking? At the time. But the one thing that comes to mind for me, in 2017, I ran for city council. That was my first time running. In the middle of that race, I was hired by Bank of America. The bank came to me, they hired me, and they came to me and said, if you happen to get on that dais, you're going to need to resign from us. 2-3 weeks into the job, I was astounded. I called Mr. Ron Lieber, I called Ella Scarborough. I'm like, hey, what's going on, Ella? When you joined council, weren't you at Duke, et cetera? So I had to make a decision. And at that time, financially speaking, I needed the job. I needed the job. Now, the race made it easy for me. Matt Newton ended up winning that particular race. And so that made it easy for me, but I had plans of running again in 19. But because of my commitment to my job, I stayed out the fray for 5 years. And it wasn't until I had a new job in 2023, which I went through compliance, talked to the compliance department at Cushman and Wakefield, and since they weren't based in Charlotte, they had no qualms with me running for city council. And so, but it was the priority, and I think for me, the second part of that question is, for the public, a lot about my life hasn't, besides running for council, hasn't necessarily been for the public in terms of my conflicts and needing to deal with them. But nonetheless, it's the same difference in terms of making the right decision. It would have been selfish for me to sit there on city council and not be financially stable and trying to do things. That opens you up to impropriety. That opens you up to, candidly, I was asked by Mr. Gant one day, Gary, if you're sitting up there on the council and you have a contract that comes to you and they want to offer your business a contracting opportunity, how would you respond? And I told him, honestly, that's the first thing is it's about your character, your values, and your morals. Fortunately, being in this community, I've had a village, particularly starting with my parents, who raised me with those type of morals and values to make the right decision. So that's the main one I can say in terms of being open to the public and having that conflict. But other times, aside from the public, I've served on boards for the city, and I've had to make that decision of, do I continue serving on this board or do I have to do my 9 to 5? Fortunately, I am at a place owning my own business that is successfully flourishing, where I'm able to serve on certain boards for the city, as well as have my 9 to 5 and my own entity.
Sir, thank you on a Friday.
That's it.
To spend time with us. So Gary, here's the next steps for us. This work group, we will make our recommendation to council on Saturday. We will start voting Monday, November 17th, and it will be our goal on November 24th. We will select the 7 applicants to represent us on the authority. So stay tuned and follow our city council meeting, and we're gonna walk around and shake your hand.
I'll be there
sir.
Monday. Thank you.
There you go, sir.
How are y'all doing?
How you doing?
Morning.
Doing great. Happy
Doing
Friday.
great. Happy Friday.
All right. Appreciate the time.
And that bottle of water is for you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
How you pronounce your first name? I want to make sure I'm correct.
I tell everyone it's like soccer but with G's. Sagarati.
Sagar.
Sagar. Yep.
Sagar.
Okay, thank you.
Sagar, thank you for being here and
Yeah.
joining us on this Friday. We appreciate the opportunity for you to share your skills with us as it relates to the authority. So let me do some introductions for you while you catch your breath, okay?
Yeah, of course.
So first, I'm going to introduce some of the council members who have joined us virtually. We have representing District 3, Ms. Tijuana Brown. Representing at large is Ms. Dimple Ashmere. And our Mayor Pro Tem representing District 1, Ms. Dante Anderson. In the room, we are the Work Group Committee. Represented to my left, Mr. Ed Driggs, representing District 7, and Ms. LaWanna Mayfield, representing City Council at large. Your best friend in this room, though, is Ms. Stephanie Kelly, because we're going to ask you 5 questions, sir, and then you have 3 minutes per question to answer. At the 30-second mark, Ms. Kelly is going to give you a warning, okay?
All right.
So relax, and we're going to start off the questions by Councilmember Mayfield.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us this morning. And if at any time that you need us to slow down or repeat the question, please let us know. How do you feel this new board can balance regional decision-making with the need for accountability to the taxpayers?
All right. That's a great question. You know, the beauty of the way the structure of this board is coming together is it's a reflection, a representation of this entire community. So that includes not just Charlotte, but the region around Charlotte, including the balance of Mecklenburg County. I think that format alone is a great starting point for us as we think about how do we need to be reflective of the work that's happening and being promoted. As part of that structure has really helped ensure that there's a voice for those members, for those communities, for those areas at the table every single time. As a board, it's on us to ensure that we are taking that and hearing that voice and being very thoughtful about how we're not only reacting, but prioritizing some of the goals and objectives that every single member that's participating gets a chance to be a part of. I'll tell you, it's actually pretty unique to have this type of structure, especially given how large the transportation opportunity is for Charlotte, or for the region. So I personally think we're on a good starting, on the starting line for how this can really take into account everyone's perspective for what they would like to see accomplished here in the region as it relates to transportation.
Thank you. Give me one moment. My second question for you. Please describe how you intend to ensure equity in procurement for the Transit Authority spend. Describe your understanding of the challenges businesses face within the procurement process and ways the authority can ensure equitable access to opportunity. And I will break that up if you need it.
No, that's a good question. One more time, if you don't mind.
Yes. Please describe how you intend to ensure equity in procurement for Transit Authority spend. Describe your understanding of the challenges businesses face within the procurement process and ways the authority can ensure equitable access to the opportunities.
Okay. That's another great question. Let me first start off by saying this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for this region to take advantage of almost $20 billion of infrastructure investment that we can utilize across this region. Personally, I can't think of a bigger project that we've seen in our lifetime in this area. So as we think about the ability for folks to participate and be a part of that, there will inevitably be a massive amount of infrastructure dollars that are going to be allocated to a variety of projects. I think our challenge is not going to be how do we equitably ensure everyone gets to participate in this. I think our challenge is going to be how do we ensure we're getting all the talent and recruiting the people that can actually get this work done. We are going to very quickly, there's great people here in Charlotte, we're going to need help. And I think being able to execute on this plan is going to, by its nature, everyone's going to have a chance to invest in this. You know, I think today, probably the number one thing, if you think about from a procurement challenge, is frankly transparency behind it. What is the process? How do people find out? How do we ensure that everyone feels like they get a chance to not only see what's coming down in front of them, but also how can they ensure that their name's thrown in the hat? That by and far, I think, is going to be a key goal for this authority. It is being able to reflect on and ensure that the broader community is well aware of what's happening, where those opportunities are, and how people can be a part of it. And I'd say probably the last thing, how can we ensure we're being equitable about that? I think there's a variety of ways we can do that, but I will come back to, I think at the end of the day, there is going to be ample ways for this community to get engaged, be involved, participate, invest, and be a part of the delivery of this transit plan.
Thank you.
So the next two questions is going to come from Mr. Ed Driggs. Ed?
I'm still writing. Hang
Okay,
on.
I'm sorry. Good. Well, let me catch up. Take your time. Take your time, sir.
So, first question. Safety is one of the most important factors influencing how people experience and choose to use public transit. As a board member, how would you approach your role in ensuring that safety, both real and perceived, is a central part of improving the rider experience? What strategies or partnerships do you believe are key to creating a safe and welcoming transit system for all riders? So how would you approach your role, and what strategies or partnerships are key?
Another great question. Safety is by far and away the number one priority for this authority, and that needs to reverberate through the entire organization. Every single decision, every direction, every initiative, every effort, we need to be able to come back and say, how is safety a part of that decision-making process? The reality is even if we go down and spend, we can have thousands of people's focus just on that alone, but at the end of the day, the perception of that is just as important as the actuality of it. So part of that, and I mentioned this earlier, is ensuring that we're being transparent regarding what's happening and activities that are occurring. What are ways that the community can understand and learn? What are the active measures being taken by this authority to help promote and ensure safety? And I think that extends beyond just what the work the Transit Authority is doing. That means really identifying partnerships with local law enforcement, local EMS, local fire, to really help remind and promote that at the end of the day, this authority and the work that's being done is not being operated in isolation. Safety doesn't just stop when you step off the bus or when you get off the light rail or when you get out of your car. Frankly, it's got to continue to your home, and that means our partnerships with the excellent men and women that help ensure that today, like CMPD, like fire, like EMS, are huge for ensuring that we're being thoughtful, mindful, and engaging regarding safety as a priority for this organization.
Thank you. My next question is, given that over 80,000 residents opposed the tax and many felt unheard throughout the process, how will you ensure that MPTA's decision-making remains transparent and that low-income, transit-dependent, and displaced communities have a voice in shaping priorities, routes, and spending?
Excellent question. I'm almost, this is what I love about Charlotte. We are a city where we all want the same thing. We want to be safe, we want to be excited, we want a great way of life. I think where we have our differences ends up being is how we all think we need to get there. I could almost bet if you were to ask those 80,000 individuals who voted no, if you were to ask them, do they believe we need a better transit system? I guarantee they all would have said yes. And that's the reality of it. So I think the beauty of where the MPTA is we effectively have a great reset. We have an opportunity right now to take the organization and engage directly with the community, whether they voted yes or no. The reality is we are all here trying to get aligned regarding the future of transit, and that includes the entirety of that spectrum. So I think first and foremost, it's ensuring that every community, be it either the participation on this board or the opportunity to come visit, be a part of, and understand what's happening, is paramount. We have to ensure that everyone understands what is happening in real time. That's one. As it relates to the second part of your question, there is no question that there are communities that are going to be impacted by this. Frankly, all of Charlotte and the surrounding region will be impacted by this. Every single individual that's investing in this, and they are, should have a say at the table. And I think it's paramount on us as MPTA members, as representations of the community, that we're being mindful of that, thoughtful, and ensuring we're being responsive to those concerns. The last thing we want to do is be a city that has, like, we have run into this in the past. We have been, stuck with our own faults. And I think this is a great opportunity for Charlotte and the surrounding counties to really help embrace the fact that this is a reset for us, and we really want to embrace that the right way.
Thank you.
So, sir, I have the pleasure of asking you the last question, okay? It's kind of long as well, so if I need to repeat it, please let me know, okay? Tell us about a time when you had to balance competing priorities while ensuring transparency and accountability to the public. Part one. How did you make your decision, and what was the outcome? Can you give us an example and provide details if possible?
Yeah, another great question. As a developer, I get the joy of being a part of a lot of public engagement opportunities as it relates to, as we think about land use opportunities and things that we're either building, developing, acquiring. Every step of the way necessitates, there are two ways to do that. You can either barrel down and try to just force something to happen, or you can frankly get in front of folks and ask them, what do they want? How do they get a chance to be a part of making something really special? At the end of the day, our community, no different than the fact that people want a great transit option. They want safe, welcoming, fantastic way of life communities, and they want those to continue to prosper and grow. As a developer, I love nothing more than to find a way to align with that. That is our objective. So I think first and foremost, the one thing we want to do is we want to be aligned with the public. I want to ensure that at the end of the day, whatever are the goals, the objectives, the priorities we're focusing on and trying to lean on as it relates to an authority, that we're doing so with the public at our side. If we can do that, then I think, frankly, we're going to be very successful. Because if we're all trying to get to the same end result, that is a fantastic, safe, equitable, well-run, efficient, fantastic transit authority. If everyone wants that, if we all agree on that goal, now we got to figure out how we got to get there.
Okay.
And the second part of your question
Yes,
is
sir.
regarding?
Yeah, so the second part, how did you make your decisions and what was the outcome?
I could list 1,000 outcomes or 1,000 opportunities like that, but I'd say at the end of the day, probably what's most impactful for us is, or for me personally, is if we are aligned at the table on day one with our community participants, the folks that raise their hand and say they're ready to be a part of this and want to drive this forward, we are going to be aligned in the outcome of that. We can all celebrate the wins together. We can all, challenge ways we can, hold ourselves more accountable, and we can feel proud of the work that's being done.
Thank you so much for coming and joining us this Friday. We're going to come around and shake your hand, sir, before you leave, and you enjoy your day.
Next steps.
And let me share the next steps.
So, yeah.
So this work group will make our recommendations on Saturday.
Okay.
We will share those with council on Monday, November 17th. We'll start voting. It is our goal by November 24th. We will come to the conclusion, have 7 appointees to represent us on an authority.
Great.
So stay tuned
Yeah.
and join us at the council meeting on the 17th.
I'll be there.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you all. Really appreciate the time. Thank you as well.
Katrina Young, thank you for joining us this morning. We really appreciate the opportunity
Thank you.
to sit down and have a conversation with you. We would like to ask you 5 questions. Then you have 3 minutes per question to answer. Ms. Stephanie Kelly here is going to be your favorite friend. She will give you a 30-second warning. Let me introduce some of my colleagues who have joined us first virtually. We have District 1, Mayor Pro Tem Dante Anderson, Council Member at Large, Ms. Dimple Ashmere, and then in the room, we have District 7, my colleague and Work Group Committee Member Ed Driggs, and to my right, Work Group Committee Member LaWanna Mayfield at Large. So relax, that water's yours. We want to have like a conversation. We're going to start off with Council Member Mayfield.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and offering to be of service. I would like to share some of the questions along. So feel free to make notes and/or ask us to repeat the question if you would like for us to. We have about 1 minute, so you still have a moment to take a breath because we are starting exactly at 10. It's about 9:59, so I just wanted to go over. If you need us to repeat the question, we will gladly do that. And with that, I'm going to ask the first question. And your time does not start until you start speaking. Okay. How do you feel this new board can balance regional decision-making with the need for accountability to the taxpayers?
Well, I think that the best way that we could do this is to understand that it's not a one-size-fits-all. What the needs are maybe for Uptown or South End, it's not going to be the same needs that you have in the north or the south. So I think acknowledging that and then allowing those different areas to set their priorities, to let us know what they believe is needed, then that would be a starting point. We would listen to their needs, and then we can go from there. On the other side, the taxpayers, since they are doing most of the funding, we have to be accountable. And as the saying, so where's the money? They want to know where the money is going, how the money is being spent. And so we're going to need to be transparent in how we share that information. And it shouldn't be a secret where they don't know where to go to get it. It should be in a location, a website, or somewhere that they can pull up the information anytime they want. I do believe that we need to have some type of governance in place so that everything is consistent and it's not treating one area differently than the other. But if we have our governance in place, our documents, and everyone knows, then they can come to their own conclusion as to why the decision was made.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Give my colleagues a moment to finish writing.
Give me 1 moment. Okay, thank you.
My second question. Please describe how you intend to ensure equity in procurement for transit authority spend. Describe your understanding of the challenges businesses face within the procurement process and ways the authority can ensure equitable access to opportunity.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to repeat that one more
Yes.
time.
Describe how you intend to ensure equity in procurement for transit authority spend, your understanding of the challenges businesses face within the procurement process, and ways the authority can ensure equitable access to opportunities.
Got it. So first, I think we need to make sure that everyone understands that equity is different from equal.
Okay.
So we are not going to be able to say, we're going to give this $10,000 and we're going to give you $10,000 and so you're equal and go do what you need to do. I think from a procurement standpoint, we're going to have to understand that for the small business owners, for the minority owners, they are going to need additional guidance and additional assistance. How do we do that? We can do mentorship programs, we can do workshops, classes, provide them with some additional training on how the process works. My understanding is that seems to be one of the biggest barriers, is that they do not understand the process. It's a lot of red tape, and it gets to be a little overwhelming. So if there's a way that we can simplify so that it's easy to understand, it's something they can do quickly, because remember, these small businesses, they are trying to run their businesses. So when do they have time to really submit all of the documents, the applications, and everything that we're going to need? So I think us helping to show them how to do it is going to be helpful. I would say from a authority's perspective, our goal is to provide them with that assistance. And so that is creating databases where we share the information, because a lot of times it's not what you know, it's who you know, and when these type of opportunities exist. So putting it out there where they can go and find it, and know that these are opportunities, I think would also be helpful, I think, as an authority as well. Some of the larger projects, perhaps breaking them up, because small businesses and minorities, they do not have the capital funding. They're not going to be able to compete on some of those large projects. However, if they're broken up, they may be able to get a smaller piece of it. I hope I answered that.
Thank you.
Hold on one second.
He's
So
slow.
I'm kind of slow, right?
I'll slow
So-
down.
So Katrina, Mr. Ed Riggs would like to ask you two other questions.
Okay.
Hi.
Hey.
Safety is one of the most important factors influencing how people experience and choose to use public transit. As a board member, how would you approach your role in ensuring that safety, both real and perceived, is a central part of improving the rider experience? What strategies or partnerships do you believe are key to creating a safe and welcoming transit system for all? So how would you approach your role, and what strategies do you believe are key?
Right, so safety is paramount, and you get there through public trust. If individuals don't trust that they're going to be safe, they're not going to participate, they're not going to ride. So we have to definitely show them that we are interested in their safety. That is going to require partnerships with individuals or organizations like CMPD, or like I know most recently traveling to Miami, on their rail system, on their transportation, they actually have their own security. So it does provide a sense of safety when you know that there's someone else that is there for your welfare and they care about your safety. Additionally, we want to make sure that our services are clean, that there's enough appropriate lighting, that the stops are in places where individuals feel secure. So I think if we are to do all of those things, and then listening, giving them an opportunity to provide feedback, asking the riders, what would you like, what would be better, and to listening for that, not necessarily sending out surveys, because we know you may or may not respond to a survey, but actually having staff on those transportations and asking the questions then, and then tracking that information and providing the data and the metrics. And then once we get that data and those metrics, then we need to act on them. We don't need to just place them somewhere and say this is the data, but really on a regular basis be accountable and go back and check, and to make sure, and then check in with our riders to make sure that they are good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My other question is, given that over 80,000 residents opposed the tax and many felt unheard throughout the process, how will you ensure that MPTA's decision-making remains transparent and that low-income, transit-dependent, and displaced communities have a voice in shaping priorities, routes, and spending?
Right, so the 80,000, for the reason that they probably voted no, is that they either felt they were not being heard or that the concerns they had were not going to be addressed. Again, that goes back to public trust. Perhaps it's not always the way we say it, it's our actions. Our action speaks louder than words. So we can say that we're going to do certain things, but then if we don't follow through with it, they're not going to believe anything else that we say. So providing the public trust is first, I think. And could you again repeat the second part of that question for me, please?
So how will you ensure that MPTA's decision-making remains transparent? And then how will you ensure that low-income, transit-dependent, and displaced communities have a voice in shaping priorities, routes, and spending?
Right, so that too is going to require community engagement. We're going to have to go to them and not necessarily invite them to our building. And we need to make it so that it's available, even if we have to set up areas that will provide internet, that will provide that virtual experience, then we need to do that so that they can provide their feedback. Because as a government employee, what I have learned over time is that you can vet everything to the nth degree and really think you have it all covered. When you go to that community engagement, trust and believe, there is going to be some feedback that you had not thought of because they're looking through a different lens. We're looking through one lens, they're looking through another. So having that community engagement is very, very important, and not just to the point of please respond with your comments, but really having an opportunity to participate and engage. And I think the engagement doesn't need to be talking heads where we just share information, but also be participatory and let them also provide some opportunities for us to learn from them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Katrina, I have the pleasure of asking you the last question.
Okay.
It's kind of long, so if you need me to slow it down, I will. Tell us about a time when you had to balance competing priorities while ensuring transparency and accountability to the public. That's the first part. The second part, how did you make your decision and what was the outcome? If you can give us examples and details, we would appreciate it.
That almost sounds like a trick question. Because as a government employee, you're always are going to have those competing interests. There are always going to be competing priorities. But I think the one that's coming to mind for me is when we did the first huge overhaul of the zoning ordinance, and it had not had a rewrite in decades. So it was a really heavy lift. And as a part of that, we had the residents that have been waiting so long for some of the changes to come through. And so they were ready, let's get it done. And then you had the developers who had also invested, and it was taking time for them to get their plans together before the deadline. So how did we address it, or how did I address it? Set clear expectation, governing documents, deadlines. So for our community sharing, communicating with them, we understand you're ready. So on this day, January 1, this is going to happen. For the developers, the same thing. You want to be grandfathered, you have to have all of your documents in by this day. And then everybody, it was a win-win for everyone. Everyone understood. And so I think that was the best way to handle that particular competing issues. But I would say on a day-to-day basis in government, it's everything. Everybody wants everything right now, so.
Okay. Katrina, thank you so much. In our recap, I want to share with you that this work group will make our recommendation to the full council on Saturday. Then Monday, November 17th, we will start voting on our applicants. And it is our goal by November 24th, we will have our 7 appointees selected. So we want to come around and shake your hand and thank you for spending time with us.
And I want to thank you because I know this has got to be grueling, and I appreciate the time that you all are spending.
Coming and allowing us to be able to have this conversation with you. Thank you for offering yourself up.
Yeah. Tell Fred I said hello. Okay, fantastic. Keith,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you, sir, for joining us on a Friday.
Yes.
We
Friday.
really appreciate you stopping by, and we want to talk briefly about your skills and about the authority.
Yes.
And so let me do this first, sir. Let me introduce some of my colleagues who have joined us virtually, starting with District 1, Mayor Pro Tem Dante Anderson, and then Dimple Ashmere, City Council at Large. They're joining us virtually. And in the room, let me introduce my work group, who's really been working hard to make sure this process. Ed Driggs representing District 7, Councilmember LaWanda Mayfield representing at large. But Keith, your best friend in this room is Ms. Stephanie Kelly.
How you doing, Ms. Kelly?
Because we're going to ask you 5 questions.
Yes.
You have up to 3 minutes to answer each question. But at the 30-second mark, Ms. Kelly going to flash up a little reminder, okay?
Okay.
Okay? So get comfortable. We're not going to hold against it that you did something to our chair. We're not going to hold that against you.
Okay.
Okay? But we're going to let Ms. Councilmember Mayfield start us off with the first 2 questions, sir.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And if at any time you need me to slow down or repeat the question, please let us know. How do you feel this new board can balance regional decision-making with the need for accountability to the taxpayers?
Actually, I think the board itself need to go ahead, well, a lot of members on the board need to concentrate on safety. Is one thing, you may have $1 billion and you can go ahead and spend it any way you want to, but the reality of it is people won't ride unless safety is the first concern, okay? You know, people have to feel safe, they have to take ownership in whatever is created, okay? And I think this new board can go ahead and set the tone for that. And because it's not only like the law enforcement officers going out there and creating the safety, or security officers creating the safety, it's just the average person going out there saying, hey, look, there's a cup on the ground, let me pick it up. There's a broken window, let me go ahead and tell maintenance about it. And you want them to go ahead and garner ownership. And I think that's where the board can start at. Instead of just going out there, let's just govern, I think it's time for community involvement.
Thank you. My second question for you. Please describe how you intend to ensure equity in procurement for transit authority spend. Describe your understanding of the challenges businesses face within the procurement process and ways the authority can ensure equitable access to opportunity.
Those are the 5 questions.
Right, right. But I can break that up.
Yes.
Go one more, you want me to go through it one more time?
No, that's fine.
sure? Okay.
Equity inclusion, I'm talking about as a business
How do
owner.
you intend to ensure in the procurement for transit authority spend? Describe your understanding of the challenges businesses face within the procurement process and ways the authority can ensure equitable access to the opportunity.
I think a lot of those things, the city of Charlotte is already, this city of Charlotte, of course, has already addressed a lot of those things, and especially when it comes to equity inclusion. I've been a part of quite a few programs here that I think I was one part at a part of going out there buying a piece of property in the central area here, and it helped my business grow. So I've been a part of these programs. I think those programs need to be not enforced, but I think they just need to be a little bit more open at times, yes. And to ensure that, I think we need to look at what we've done in the past, and we need to just change a couple things, like just more of a community outreach, because a lot of people out there sit on the bench and they have great ideas. They have great, wonderful ideas, and even to help the city of Charlotte out. But sometimes they don't have the pathways to go out there and communicate with the city. And I think going out there and having those meetings and those community meetings that people were part of, and letting them know that there are resources and there's ability for the people to come up there and be a part of this new, this new transit authority, to be a part of it. Again, it's all goes back to getting the community involved to be a part of it. That's going to go ahead and create a better community on the transit.
Thank you.
Keith, let me kind of catch up here real quick. The next two, he gets on me.
Waiting for him.
The next two questions will be asked by Mr. Driggs here.
Yes, sir.
Keith, good morning.
Good morning.
Safety is one of the most important factors influencing how people experience and choose to use public transit. As a board member, how would you approach your role in ensuring that safety, both real and perceived, is a central part of improving the rider's experience? What strategies or partnerships do you believe are key to creating a safe and welcoming transit system? So how would you approach your role, and what strategies or partnerships do you believe are key?
Okay. Well, as far as safety, I'm a law enforcement officer. That's the first thing I am. I believe in my oath. I think that all law enforcement officers believe in their oath. So, but when it comes down to safety, again, it's a community buy-in. You know, only a community can protect the community. It's not the person that's, hey, I have a badge and I have a gun, I can protect everybody. It's not that. It's the person that goes out there and give a call and say, hey, something's wrong. Hey, there's something that's not quite right about this situation. So I think one of the biggest goals here is to make sure that communication happens. And the communication happens not only from just the citizenry, it's also communication with the law enforcement departments. We have a tendency to go out there and isolate certain areas and say, oh, this is my jurisdiction, this is my jurisdiction. It does nothing for us, because at the end of the day, we have to be true to our oath. We have to go ahead and make sure that everybody's safe under our protection. So that means is, hey, let me go ahead and communicate with this agency, let me communicate with this agency. Sometimes if I was a board member, I would go ahead and foster that communication, make sure that communication doesn't have some undertone of my jurisdiction, that junkyard dog fight that sometimes we have unnecessarily. I will make sure that look, let's stay focused. We're here for the transit. We want to go ahead and make this, we're going to make this as safe as possible. And I think communicating with those law enforcement agencies and bringing them together and letting them understand the true purpose. Yes, they have their separate cities, they have their separate jurisdictions. I understand that, but at the same time, to bring those resources to bear collectively, I really believe that we would have a safer system and again, entice people to ride.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
My other question is, given that over 80,000 residents opposed the tax and many felt unheard throughout the process, how will you ensure that MPTA's decision-making remains transparent and that low-income, transit-dependent, and displaced communities have a voice in shaping priorities, routes, and spending? So how will you ensure that decision-making remains transparent, and how will you ensure that low-income, transit-dependent, and displaced communities have a voice in shaping priorities, routes, and spending?
Well, one of the first things you said, transparency. In order for transparency the real true root of transparency, public records or open meetings, is to go ahead and make sure you maintain the public's trust. Because if you lose the public's trust for anything, then it's like, it's just like having a politician. Do people like politicians, or do people like public servants? So, and that's one thing I believe that you have to go out there and you have to go ahead and have you have to have one-on-one communications with somebody who, I didn't vote for the taxes, okay, they didn't vote for the taxes, that's fine. But at the end of the day, you're going to use the system. And when you use the system, you still want to foster that communication. And it's all about communication, it's about outreach, it's about bringing businesses that weren't going to participate because they didn't want to, they voted no. We're still a community. So even if we disagree here and we disagree there, we may agree on other things. And that's it. That's about communication, to make sure we know what we agree on.
Thank you.
Keith, so
Yes.
sir, I have the last question. So slow me down though if I need to, because sometimes I talk kind of fast, okay?
I do.
Tell us about a time when you had to balance competing priorities while ensuring transparency and accountability to the public. That's the first part,
Okay.
okay? Second part, how did you make your decision, and what was the outcome? Can you give us an example and provide many details as possible?
Okay. Okay, here it goes. I remember when I was a young officer, and I was working, I believe, on the east side of the city. I walked up, and it was a strangulation that just happened. And I'm sitting up here, and of course, the state gives you all the authority in the world. You can investigate this and everything, and it just happened. And I'm like, okay, well, my pride goes in there. Oh, I'm a police officer. I can do this. But it wasn't in the best interest of the community. And I had to go ahead and, hate to say it, put my tail between my legs and say, hey, I need help. And that's when I called in other resources. So I looked at it and I weighed it and said, okay, well, which ones were more important, the way I feel or what's going to be the better outcome? And I chose the better outcome, which is, let's just go ahead and make sure the public was safe.
Keith, thank you so much, sir, for spending time with us on Friday. And let me just kind of give you a recap the next steps.
Yes, sir.
And so this work group will make our recommendations on Saturday. We will forward those to the City Council on Monday, November 17th. Council then will start voting on all the applicants. And then on November 24th, it is our goal that we will have 7 citizens to represent us on the Transit Authority. So we're going to come around and shake your hand, sir, and
Yes,
appreciate you
I would
dropping by.
appreciate that. Yes, sir.
So Tim, first of all, thank you for joining us on a Friday and sharing your skills with us as we talked about picking 7 people to represent us on the authority. And so what I would like to do is introduce you to colleagues who are virtual and then introduce you to the colleagues that are here in the room, okay? So we have representing District 1, our Mayor Pro Tem, Councilmember Dante Anderson. Also with us virtually is City Council at Large, Dimple Ashmere. Here in the room, we have representing District 3, Ms. Tijuana Brown, as I call her D3. And we have representing District 7, part of the work group, Mr. Ed Driggs. And to my right, Councilmember LaWanda Mayfield representing at large. So Tim, conversation, that's your water, so kind of relax. We're going to ask you 5 questions. You have 3 minutes per question to answer. Stephanie's going to be your favorite friend. She's going to hold up the 30-second reminder, okay?
All right.
And we appreciate you putting the blaze on Friday. Because I know Tim's regular routine on Friday. So we're going to wait. We got 2 minutes. We're going to start right at 11, which is your time. We don't want your fans to get upset.
Yeah,
So we
that's
missed
right.
his first question, right?
Oh, I get it. I appreciate all of you showing up on a Friday.
We have one more day, sir.
Yeah, you do.
We
You
have
have to show
Saturday.
up on Saturday too, don't you?
Yeah, we have Saturday, so we'll give it a couple more minutes, though.
And we have about 1 minute, but I do want to let you know that if at any time you would like for us to repeat a question, we would gladly do that, or slow down the question. Feel free to take notes if you like on the questions. So we will be starting right at 11. This is the longest minute.
Because we gotta wait
And
for
your
it, right?
time, and for your response, the 3 minutes does not start until you start responding.
That's right.
So our question is not eating into your 3 minutes. And it's up to, you don't have to take the whole 3. We encourage you that you have it available. You do not have to utilize the entire 3 minutes.
And please, Tim, to Councilman Mayfield, these are, some of them are long questions, so you're not hurting our feelings. You say, can you repeat that again? Because we've had to do that this morning, okay?
I understand. Thank you.
And 11 a.m.
Ms. Mayfield.
Thank you again for joining us today. The first question I have for you, how do you feel this new board can balance regional decision-making with the need for accountability to the taxpayers?
Thank you for that question. One of this council's priorities is well-managed government, and I think we can all agree that having an authority with over 24 members representing regional groups that have disparate and sometimes competing and conflicting interests makes well-managed government a difficult goal to achieve. And so I think it's imperative to populate this board with members that have a proven ability to build bridges, to collaborate well with groups, to manage competing interests, to seek win-win compromises. It's going to be difficult for everybody to get everything they want, and so collaboration is going to be absolutely essential. It's basically the essence of public-private partnership, and I lived that world heavily and actively over the last multiple years. One of the challenges that I see with this authority is I understand it as the revenue starts flowing, I think 40% of that revenue goes to the city to principally be spent on roads. 60% goes to the authority to principally be spent on transit issues. Those two groups can work independently, but that would be a huge miss if in fact they did do that. It would be optimal if those two groups could align their strategies, their priorities, and that is a public-private partnership, trying to bridge the authority and the city. If I'm privileged and honored to be part of this group, my interests represent the city. I'm here. There's other disparate groups, but I'm here to represent Charlotte. At the same time, I understand that I'm working in an ecosystem that requires collaboration and some compromise, and so we need to identify what those unyielding principles are that we must achieve. and then try to negotiate around some of the other things that might be a little less important.
Thank you. My second question for you. Please describe how you intend to ensure equity in procurement for transit authority spend. Describe your understanding of the challenges businesses face within the procurement process and ways the authority can ensure equitable access to the opportunities. And I will repeat any of that if you need it.
I think I got it, thanks. That's a long one. Many of the people that did not support this bill don't trust the process. They don't trust the fact that the spending decisions will be equitable. And that's a huge issue for this board to contend with. I'm a real estate developer. I deal with equity and procurement issues, maybe not daily, but certainly weekly. I can give you a couple of examples. Eastland Mall, for example, the site work project alone on that deal was $30 million, okay, roughly. We had a really difficult time identifying contractors, minority contractors, that had the scale that could take on the components of a site work contract that size. The parking deck was a $7 million parking deck. There was not one minority firm that we could hire on the parking deck. And so I think it's absolutely essential that the city and this authority work together, starting immediately, to start building lists of contractors that have the interest and the core competencies to take on some of the components of these projects. And they have to be identified in categories that can speak to the magnitude of the scope of the project they can take on. If you've got a small contractor working out of his pickup truck, he's not going to be able to take on a massive component of the project. That would be unfair to them, and it would be bad stewardship of public resources. And so it has to be, again, an alignment of interest with the city council and staff, as well as the authority working through that. The Excelsior, we're working on the Excelsior Club with my dear brother, Sean Kennedy. We've committed to strive for 40% MWSBE there. We're a year away from starting construction. That's a smaller project. We're already interviewing firms and trying to identify consultants, contractors, subcontractors that we can populate a list and work with a year from now. It's hard work. It takes a lot of time. But it's a rich contribution to the success of a project. I think it's absolutely essential in this work.
Thank you.
Tim, Mr. Driggs is now going to ask you two questions. Mr. Driggs?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Safety is one of the most important factors influencing how people experience and choose to use public transit. As a board member, how would you approach your role in ensuring that safety, both real and perceived, is a central part of improving the rider experience? What strategies or partnerships do you believe are key to creating a safe and welcoming transit system for all riders? So how would you approach your role, and what strategies and partnerships do you believe are key?
These questions keep getting longer, don't they?
Oh, wait for mine.
It's an essay.
One of the questions you guys asked some of the earlier applicants earlier this week was, what's success look like in transit? And that's a multifaceted answer, but one simple metric is ridership. Ridership numbers communicate, among other things, the perception of safety or lack thereof with the riders. And so it's absolutely essential to be tracking some of those types of metrics. Charlotte does not have a level of crime that some other cities have that are in the headlines almost weekly. But Charlotte does have crime. We opened a new development 2 weeks ago. 3 of our stores, they hadn't been open less than a month, and 3 stores got broken into overnight. Two of those stores were those chains' first stores in Charlotte. So what message are they getting that, hey, they're open for 2 weeks and they're already broken into? We have an affordable housing community where we had some gang activity, and a gang member shot 50 bullet holes into our occupied multifamily dwelling, shooting a 2-year-old in the abdomen at 1:30 in the morning. And then the guy came back the next day and shot up another 50 bullet holes. Fortunately, we had vacated those units. And so we do have crime. And part of the challenge is the revolving door. It's a very few numbers of people that are committing these repeat criminal offenses. I talked recently, within the last couple of weeks, to a deputy sergeant in the police department, and I think I'll get this number right. She mentioned there was one individual that has been arrested something like 150 times for breaking into cars. Why is that person still getting released every day? The individual that shot into our apartments, fortunately, we have a bunch of security cameras. We cooperate with the police department. They were able to identify the shooter. They arrested the shooter, and he was out on the street within 24 hours. How can that be fair? So part of your question asked about partnerships. We clearly need to partner with the police department. Our men and women in blue are doing an amazing job. We need more of them. They know that too. So we need to really partner there. We need to partner with the community to hold our judges accountable. There is no reason some of these people should be, continually free to walk on the streets and commit additional acts of violence. And then lastly, we need to partner with the business community to raise awareness about some of the things that our citizens can do to combat some of these crimes that impact our public safety.
So my other question is, given that over 80,000 residents opposed the tax and many felt unheard throughout the process, how will you ensure that MPTA's decision-making remains transparent and that low-income, transit-dependent, and displaced communities have a voice in shaping priorities, routes, and spending? So how will you ensure that the decision-making remains transparent, and how will you ensure that displaced communities have a voice in shaping priorities, routes, and spending?
Thank you for the question. This is a critical issue for the city. I mentioned earlier, there's a lack of trust, I think, with a lot of the communities, a lot of the minority communities around the equity and fairness with this authority. My father used to say that it takes years to build trust and one decision to break it. Mm-hmm. We need to really intentionally work on building trust. We have to absolutely minimize the impacts of these transit projects. We have to absolutely minimize displacement. We minimize that through good design. We minimize that through community input. We've got to have engagement of the citizens on that. We have to be creative. Perhaps we can leverage some of the transit-oriented or transit-owned properties. If you buy residual land, you need it for the transit properties, and if there's some surplus land, perhaps you can enter into a public-private partnership and seek ways to do affordable housing. Our company is building 60 units of affordable housing in Ballantyne. It was a 2-acre residual parcel next to a police station the city had, and we were able to come up with a way to repurpose that into affordable housing. And so there may be opportunities to think creatively and do public-private partnerships for that. Community engagement is absolutely essential. When we did the Eastland property, the Eastland development, we were required to have one neighborhood meeting. We had 20. What I learned in that project and many others is often the loudest voices in a community don't speak for a majority of the people in the community, and so you really have to be intentional about finding ways to meet with different groups and listen to the softer voices, because a lot of times the softer voices have more of the input that you really need. I might also say that equity and justice are two words that literally have haunted me for 10 or 15 years. You know, when the Chetty study came out in 2016, that was an epiphany for me. It was an eye-opener for me. I was convicted about what could I, as a marketplace leader, do. I'm a real estate guy. What could I be doing? That prompted me to start an affordable housing team. We've now built 700 units. You know, we worked on Eastland. Every other developer in the city could have gone after that deal, but they didn't, and we chose to because we felt that it was important to contribute to the community. Excelsior is another impact project. I've co-founded Freedom Communities in West Charlotte. I'm on the board of Project 658, serving refugees and immigrants for 14 years in East Charlotte.
Last question.
Oh, that's time?
That's it.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
okay,
That's it.
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So now, I have the longest question to ask you. No, seriously, it's not that long, Tim. But this is the last one. Tell us, Tim, about a time when you had to balance competing priorities while ensuring transparency and accountability to the public. That's the first part. Here's the second part, Tim. How did you make your decision, and what was the outcome? And if you can give us an example, provide some details, we would appreciate it.
So the first thing that comes to mind, again, is an example at Eastland. So when we were selected to lead the redevelopment, to be the master development for Eastland, council gave us the directive. They wanted a, quote, transformative project. So again, I mentioned before, we were required to have one neighborhood meeting. We had 20. We literally hired a consultant, D'Alba Wilson, who's this dear friend of mine, to go out and find the groups that weren't the loudest voices, and we started listening to them. What was immediately obvious is some of the loudest voices absolutely opposed affordable housing. Some of the other voices wanted as much affordable housing as possible. Knowing that that was a public-private partnership and absent a public investment, it wouldn't happen, I knew that city council was going to require affordable housing. And so there were some people that were not going to be satisfied. The prior city council member, the individual before Marjorie, was not at all interested in affordable housing. And so there was lots of conflict there. And so we had to navigate that, thread the needle there. And I think we developed a pretty elegant solution where we included senior affordable housing, so age restricted, and it was the first component that we went vertical on in our project. It was absolutely essential that we honored the process. We wanted for Eastland a redemptive development that included mixed age, mixed income, a lot of diversity in the housing stock, and affordable housing was absolutely essential. And so we were able to navigate that carefully. With all those neighborhood meetings, we built trust. I believe, as I recall, City Council approved the funding and so on, I think unanimously for that project. There were few, if any, negative voices. And East Charlotte, as you well know, there was a lot of animosity and angst there because there were a lot of broken promises over the prior 10 years. And so building that trust and doing that community engagement and working earnestly to try to communicate to the citizens there that we really did care what they had to say. We listened well, and we built a project that there's still a lot of support for today.
Tim, thank you, sir, on a Friday, sharing your skills. Let me just share with you the next step for this council. So the work group, we're going to make our recommendations on Saturday. We will share with the entire council on Monday, November 17th. It is our goal that November 24th, we would appoint our 7 that would represent us on the authority. So stay tuned, stay engaged on November 17th and November 24th. And if you allow us, please, we're going to come around and shake your hand. And appreciate you stopping by. So those who are viewing our city council MPTA interviews, I just want to make an announcement that Mr. Jay Ferguson has withdrew his name from this process. Jay, we wish you the best of luck, and we respect your decision. And so I just want to make sure to all the viewers out there who are expecting Jay Ferguson at 11:30, that interview will not occur. Mr. Ferguson has withdrew from the process. Thank you.
And Chair, just to make sure that everyone understand, the last interview with Mr. Cinema, that is the last interview for today, and next steps will be tomorrow.
I will see everybody tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you all.
you.